Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Do Good Marketing podcast, where we talk all things marketing and marketing done good. Today, we're going to be talking about the future of MOPs, marketing operations. My name is Moni Oluide. I'm the owner and founder of MarTech, and I'm here with Ronald Gaines. Ron, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I'm super excited. My name is Ron Gaines, or Ronald Gaines. I go by both. I've been in the MOPS world from, I think, the inception of this new iteration of MOPS. Been around this industry for over 15 years. I currently sign on to the brand of Sunbelt Rentals, which is a equipment rental company that is global, and I run their marketing operations practice there, really focusing on their MarTech campaign operations and business operations.
Awesome. Happy to have you, Ron. Ron, I can speak for his background and his knowledge around MOPS. This should be a good discussion. As we move forward in the year 2025, it feels like there's a change in marketing.
Yeah.
And in that, there is a change in marketing operations. I feel like what we've done in the past, say, 20 years is not going to be the same as the next 20. And what that future looks like, I'm not sure. And that's why I feel like Ron is a good person to talk to about what the next 20 years of marketing operations is going to look like. So
Yeah.
let's start with the current state of MOPS. Like what's happening in MOPS right now? There is some change going on. What is your thought about the current state of marketing operations?
Oh man. I think, when I was thinking about this question, I think to answer this, I had to understand like how did we get here?
Mm.
And getting here, when I thought about the maturation of this particular function and seeing what a lot of our thought leaders in this particular function in this particular profession is doing, some of the business and industry leaders are doing, they're really trying to create a better framework around MOPS itself.
Mm.
But I believe the reason why we got here in the first place is the fact that MOPS as a practice was never formalized. It was never standardized, right? It wasn't something that everyone learned, and this collective knowledge was passed on to people on how to effectively do marketing operations. And what does this look like as value and benefit to a company? And since we've never got that maturation of figuring out how to look at this from a all up perspective, what you had is practitioners from functions that really kind of morphed into MOPS, like marketing automation as one of them, operations and let's say a marketing manager, for instance, could be a part of MOPS. And I think, like, again, there was no standard approach for looking at MOPS as a function and profession and what that looks like from business to business. And even now, if you look at MOPS from organization to organization, it's widely varied of what MOPS as a practice and a function looks like. So the future of MOPS now, it's a little bit disarray. I think it's not a one size fits all thing. I think a lot of our marketing operations and marketing technology roles are not one size fits all because of the different business models, the different types of businesses, the different businesses of scale from small to enterprise. I think currently MOPS is not synergized around one standard definition or a look or feel of what this function looks like for overall. Does that make sense?
100%, 1000%. I think this is why the next 20 years will be different because there is a need for this function to grow. And it
Yes.
feels like no one knows what that looks like because no one knows what it is right now. Right? We have some general understanding. There's some marketing technology stack management in there. There's
Yes.
some lead process. There's some campaign management. There's some data analytics. But like you said, what that actually comes together and looks like from a MOPS professional standpoint is different per organization.
And I agree. Even all the things you said all of the MOPS hot buttons, right? We know, and this is the one thing that I will say about the future of MOPS. There are some really great practitioners out here that will be able to guide the future of MOPs.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say this, this is the reason I say that, because these are the same practitioners that grew up when this particular new function has become a hot button for a lot of companies now. And they grew up in the marketing automation, the email marketing, and those marketing strategy age. Like it's they understand the maturation of this particular function. It's important to the business, and they're seeing the variety of skill sets they're going to need to continue to drive MOPs forward, right? And so, like now, uh, like now, I am really encouraged to see, like, okay, we're going to be able to, like, say with yourself, we're going to start to put a foundational marketing element back into MOPs. Why is that important for MOPs? Well, I think because it's going to help us understand authentically and honestly what this function is for a business, right? Like, are you overflating your value? And let me say, I don't think MOPS value is overinflated, but just not well communicated. I think that's my unique position.
I'm going to challenge you.
Okay, please.
I think MOPS role is inflated a bit. Okay. I think that because a marketing operations professional's hands are in so many pots and they are kind of central in the marketing department, doesn't mean that you necessarily need to have a seat at the table, right? And that's kind of the linear thinking that happens for MOPS. Because I touch so many things, therefore I should be at a higher status than what I am. 1 second before you go. And the thing about it is, like, look, and I'm using this as an example. This is not a one-to-one. What I'm saying is the janitor is important, right? If they stop cleaning, the whole company looks like crap. It'll fall apart. That doesn't mean they have a seat at the boardroom. Okay. So I do think that, look, I'm not saying MOPS is not important, but I feel like this sort of, how do you get a seat at the table and how do you get kind of executive presence and where's the line there, is a little conflated.
Okay, very, very good. I like that. I think that's a great perspective. This is how I would respond to that. So I think if you look at all of the different core functions to MOPS, we got campaign management, go-to-market management, execution. We have business operations. We create capabilities and make sure that operationally the business is running flowing from the marketing department and its contribution to the business. We have our data and technologies that we have to administer and make sure it's operational and have uptime and all of that stuff to make sure, again, have a great impact to the business. All of the various operations of marketing operations. I agree when we're saying we want a seat at the table, but to ask for a seat at the table, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just don't believe, and this is where I feel like the issue with marketing operations and MOPs. You want a seat at the table, but you don't know what it means to ask for that seat at the table. You're not having no P&L, no profit and loss. You don't have any contribution to the bottom line, or at least that you're showing. We're hardening ourselves on metrics like MQLs, and that's great previously. But where I see the future of MOPs, and where I even see now that where MOPs can influence, is our orientation towards close one business. Like that's truly having a seat at the table. And we can then start to control our own destiny a little bit more because we're showing our impact towards real business and customer value. If you're not tying the effort back to customer and business value in MOPs, you shouldn't be asking for a seat at the table. But that goes into what I was going to say, where I feel like MOPs is like I said, I don't feel like it's overinflated, but I feel like we got it wrong. It's miscommunicated. And that authentic look that I was talking about, and that authentic look is to understand that MOPS is a support function. It's a support function in the business. And
Yeah.
so as a support function in the business, for me to have a seat at the table, that means I'm aligning to another department that has a seat at the table. And we're working like this. That is truly where MOPS is going to be able to make an impact to that bottom line and really get a seat at the table from my perspective.
I think if it were really about the bottom line and about pipeline and ROI, MOPS would have had a seat at the table 15 years ago. I don't think we've been talking about this for a long time. And I feel like even when results are shown and these markers are hit, leads, MQLs, influence, pipeline, the goalpost just moves. That's what I feel like. I feel like to really get a seat at the table, I think you hit on this earlier. MOPS professionals are not good and not held accountable to really understanding marketing. They're not. They understand technology and they understand operations, but they don't, no one teaches them marketing, right? There's no brand, there's no creative, there's no messaging, there's no 4Ps, there's no strategy. None of that is in the wheelhouse of a marketing operations professional, right? So when they ask for this quote unquote seat at the table, from a marketing standpoint, if you're in the marketing department, you don't know anything about marketing. So how can you have a seat at the table?
Wow. So you're going into some uncharted territory yet. So that's really good. Okay. So let's talk about this 15 years ago before we say MOPS professionals and the skill set that they need to, really be on this next evolution of MOPS as a function. So yes, pipeline, MQLs, and that. The issue with that is that traditionally it's been hard to really show the true conversion to what the business is looking for, and that's indication through profit and loss. That's what a business is really looking for, and we haven't shown that well. I know you, even as an advocate, challenge that marketing attribution model, right?
All the time.
All the time, right? So MQLs, like I know we talked recently about, like, is that a good metric or not? And like I said, I don't think it's a bad metric, but we got to be realistic about the metric. It's not a good indicator of a customer's intent.
It's not.
It's not. And that is what we're thinking are a good indicator to qualify a customer to be ready to be a potential customer to become a customer. And without like having some better gates around it, like more explicit, intent, saying, hey, I want to speak to a salesperson now.
Right.
That's a good indicator of an MQL. And then once that converts, that I can better attribute that because they had explicitly said that they're ready to have a sales ready conversation. You understand?
That's right.
So I do believe that companies have moved the goalposts, but I do believe that, again, marketers not really understanding and having a thorough commitment to say, this is really what a marketing qualified lead looks like for this business. This is how they're really showing us their intent. And this is how we can judge that. So that once a sales team accepts that and they go to work qualifying that business to become a customer for that brand, then they can better attribute that, marketing activity and marketing strategy. But they're not doing that well. We have not done that well for the last 15 years. So that's why I would say we haven't done that well. And that's, again, through that, there's no standardized way approach from business to business. We don't understand that. And I think people have eroded some of the core things that we consider as marketing operations, like attribution. Like attribution isn't a bad thing. But again, what is it really telling you? And we got to be honest about what it's really telling us. It's telling us where traffic is coming from, but it doesn't say if we're really making revenue. And it's like, okay, then we have to better connect the data and better connect our processes and operations to say that. But that all goes back to, I think, a customer-centric approach with all of this too, because the customer is central to all of this. They're the ones that is telling us their intent. And if we're not properly communicating and interpreting those signals, then that's where it all breaks down from a digital standpoint. But you said something, and that gets us to that other piece.
Mm.
That's the professional. The professional themselves, I do agree with you. We have talked and I have stated that I feel like the next iteration of a mock professional will have, there'll be thorough digital marketers, marketing technologists, and business operation professionals, right? Those are foundational for what a marketing ops professional will need to know. And like, if I can't go into a business, any business, and start to explode out the different parts of the business and components, like from marketing to sales to delivery and service, and know how marketing can improve and impact all of those, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Where is the line? Because already MOPs professionals, already as the position is in some organizations, does a lot already.
Yeah.
So now we're adding P&L and EBITDA and like all these things onto the role too as well. IT functions and rev ops and all. Where is the line? My line on why I push back on P&L and some of the revenue stuff, even though people will hit that drum beat, I honestly rarely see it happen of like, yes, we do these things. And then suddenly like we're beloved by the executive team. Like, not really. They tell you that you really didn't do it. Sales tells you really didn't get them numbers. It really wasn't you, right? They push back on it. And my other thing with that is revenue is the responsibility of the entire business, not departments. Okay. So it's like having that over a department head, and let alone a function or a roles head, is holistically unfair. Like, I don't think it's fair. So to understand it, I totally get. From like, need to know what that is, need to understand it, need to understand the role and the responsibilities of other departments. I get it. I have never liked the idea, for at least the last 10 years, of attaching a revenue number to a marketing department, because it just, to me, it just causes confusion and competition with sales. And they end up resenting you because you have to then take credit for things that you really haven't had influence in.
I think there's a specific place here that MOPs specifically will impact and get us there. And the framework looks like this from here to there. And I think this is where the future of MOPs is really going to go. It's digital, and a lot of companies are doing it now. And it'll make sense once I start to, communicate this. But right now, we see a delineation between marketing, digital marketing, and like e-commerce, right? Inside of a business, delineated. Those more and more, and even more and more organically, you're seeing they're becoming from this to this. They're becoming so centralized as a part of one broader digital strategy, right? And even the marketing element, because when you think of marketing, you can't just think like, yes, our digital channels are channels, but that's not the only channels that this business has access to. And so we have to use all channels, and the experience needs to be, it should coincide and be seamless across all channels, right? And have continuity. And so what I have seen personally is that digital is becoming more amalgamate of digital marketing, and digital commerce at the very least. That's why IT is involved in marketing ops now, and COOs and IT executives are taking ownership of marketing technology and marketing operation organizations as well, because there is a direct tie, because all of these are going to have to work in concert together to truly put best for the best customer experience to the end user. So I see now where, just like we talked about those particular skill sets around digital marketing technology, and being a technologist, and then business operations, you're going to have and understand all of these departments to actually craft a winning strategy that is impactful to a customer and the brand. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I guess that leads me to the next kind of question around the future of MOPs, right? Right now, we have a split of MOPS professionals a specialist versus a generalist, or a
Yes.
technologist versus a strategist, right? It comes in
Yes.
these kind of two flavors. Do you see that still peering off, or is there more a holistic view of what the MOPS professional is going to look like? I feel like, to me, I feel like the technologist role is dying a bit.
Its technologist role, no, I don't think it's dying.
Mm,
I think it's evolving to its own thing, but the scope is greatly reduced from
okay, okay,
MOPS
okay.
scope, right? Because when you're thinking about a marketing technologist, you're an administrator of the tools, and you're thinking about the strategy of how am I going to continue to mature our tech stack to continue to reach our business objectives and goals.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a different focus than all of the various things that, like you said, we already do a lot in MOPS.
Mm-hmm.
So the marketing technologist role is becoming much more specialized, I think.
Mm.
But a marketing technologist skill set, this is how I feel about what you said: the generalist versus the specialist,
Mm-hmm.
the technologist versus the strategist,
Mm-hmm.
the leader versus the individual contributor.
Mm-hmm.
In a modern marketing operations team, they will have all of those particular roles. Sometimes those professionals will play dual roles,
Mm-hmm.
but they will have the gambit of all of those. Like I see a lot in MOPS teams that the MOPS leader is usually the strategist and the team and the people leader as well, right?
Mm.
And then you'll see from there, you may have maybe another marketing strategist as marketing automation, and they'll run the marketing automation strategies with a marketing automation specialist, specifically around deploying out of the tool set, right? And enabling content, syndicating content to channels. Then you will have a pure technologist who is making sure that the data quality is right, segmentation is correct, the system is uptime and administered, and so on and so forth around that. Then you have operations, and you have somebody who's around strategy and tech and as a generalist and specialist around that. Because then with operations, you have like process and project management. You're going to have also like things like lead management and business process, things that we know ops are like table stakes, because you got to do your lead management, campaign execution at the very, and your system administration at the very least in your MOPS practice, right?
Yeah.
Thoughts there?
Okay, I'm gonna explain why I think the technologist is dying.
Okay.
To me, so all of marketing is changing, right? Everything is being reevaluated. The state of marketing is going to be different in the next 20 years, in the last 20 years. And as part of that, I see the role of technology changing within marketing. I feel like the last 20 years, the technology was more like a magic wand, right? Like the technology is really I got the technology to get me the revenue and get me the leads, right? It really wasn't the strategy. It was, I got Marketo because I want more leads, or I got Salesforce because I need more of this. I got this.
That's why we haven't been successful, because we thought the technology was going to do something that, this is even the state of marketing technology, is that it wasn't really purpose built for our current state.
Then you're making my point, right?
Right, so recent back.
So I feel like the future of, and you kind of already see it, right? The big three players, right, like of enterprise map platforms, marketing automation platforms. These are your Marketos, your Eloquas, your Salesforce Marketing Cloud, Pardot. They're stagnant, if not falling behind, right? Like that market is not growing. It's either stagnant or people are moving over.
I definitely agree with that. But that also lends itself to my point on the future of MOPS and why I think it's becoming an amalgamate of a digital practice. That's why RevOps is something like, think about it. RevOps is just marketing ops, sales, IT, amalgamate, all in one, e-commerce all in one. So think about the tools that are now being created. Either what these big three players are going to have to do is revamp their tools to be more purpose built for the modern digital marketer, modern marketing ops professional, or they already have tools like DXPs, CDPs, and these types of tool sets that are currently going across all of digital functions and practices to bridge the gap, right? Because now the siloed data was one of our biggest issue as a marketing technologist, right? So that's where CDPs and DXP platforms. One of the biggest things, and one of the things that I love about being a MOPS professional is capability creation, right? And creating strategy from that capability. Not everyone gets that mature, but when you're creating the capabilities and you're thinking about connecting tools and integrations, but all of these are tools that weren't probably meant to integrate together. A lot of these big players, they may have some partner connections, but not a whole lot, even for today's marketing needs and components that we're relying on right now to syndicate to the channels that we need. So I think the tool set even shows that the algorithm of digital practices are becoming one bigger overall function of the business.
I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you. I think what I'm saying is that, I think my point is, going back to the technologist dying, is that the tools that are replacing the enterprise behemoths are very purpose-driven, purpose-built tools that the average person can use. The no code, right? The one click, simple click, right? Those type of tools that the average person can use. We know people that regular people who are not technologists can use a HubSpot, right? And more tools are being built like that, where the average person can use them, where you don't need a specialist or a technologist to do that. So I'm just saying that particular role. I think the MOPS role of the future becomes more of a strategist of, here's how to best outline your workflow in order to do lead management. Here's how to best to configure your reporting so you get the best out of it. Here's how. That's more of that, and not necessarily being in Marketo 10 hours a day creating campaigns.
Let me tell you I think that's going to give a rise to potentially. It's going to get us back in this situation again. Because right now we have a lot of MOPS professionals who are not tenured MOPS professionals, but they don't know the full gambit of it as a strategist, a technologist, as someone who understands digital marketing and campaigns and strategies, campaign strategies across SEO, pay, media, search, like being a real digital marketer, being a full marketing technologist, being a full business entrepreneur who understands the business operation and how to enable these teams to be their best selves.
Right.
So what I see now is that, like, those tenured folks, they have this diverse and deep skill set. That's why they give strategy. That's why we can give strategy. Right. I could tell you how to build it inside of the tool. I could tell you what we really can do or what we cannot do.
Right.
That, I think, those professionals who don't have those variety of skill sets they're not going to be competitive. They're not.
Well, okay, this brings me to our next point, because is MOPS dependent on technology? Or is the because what are we teaching technology, or are we teaching marketing operations? Because again, when I was coming up and learning, you learned Eloquent, you learned the tool, and through the tool, you learn how to do operations. This is why we have to our full circle, why we don't have good operations professionals, because they don't know operations. They know the tool, they don't really know marketing operations.
Actually, what you're saying right there is key. That was to my earlier point, is we were taught how to syndicate a campaign across a tool from the start. Then we matured the practice, segmentation and data and analytics, and then different tool sets and components that to integrate to better orchestrate campaigns across channels. Like, we matured our capability, right? We never was taught change management to start. We never taught operations to start, business models, understanding the business model of your business and how to look at that, understand the company org structure, how everything is pushed down from objectives and vision standpoint, and how we are on the hook to help meet that objective and vision, right? Like, we're not taught soft skills. We're not taught operational, project management, agile. Like you'll learn some of these things as a part of doing business, but you're not inclusively because there was no standardized way of us being taught MOPs.
Right.
Now, these are like change management is a necessity when it comes to MOPs, right? Because I own part of a production tool set for our business that goes and provides value to the business and our customers we serve. And so if something is wrong, oh man, if I need to change something, well, that needs to be communicated broader across teams that will be impacted.
Right.
We need to make sure that people know what's going to go out. New rollout of different features and tool sets, capabilities to do their job more efficiently and more effectively. How do we do that? Like we weren't taught these things from the very beginning. So I definitely agree with you. Full circle. Okay, full circle.
Okay.
So we rely on technology. We are going to rely on technology for the simple fact of this. There is no way around the digitalization of doing business.
Okay.
Our world is forever changed. Right. And with generations of digital enabled consumers coming to market and emerging in market, there's going to be no way around our need to rely on technology in all functions of a business. Marketing is ahead of the game in a lot of the different functions of a business to do so, right? Before sales came online to actually use digital mediums to sell, marketing was one of the first mediums to use their function across the digital medium. And it's not going to stop. So we're going to rely on digital tools and channels. And because of that, we're going to be relying on the technology. So I don't think we're going to get around the technology part of this at all. So what I do believe, again, is there's going to be there's going to be two things that happen. And I hope there's two things. Companies are going to build more purposeful technology for marketers, or some of the tools that are being created, like DXP platforms, because you can't be in marketing operations now, and if you're not inside of the conversations of customer experience, something's wrong, right? Because again, that's a part of that orientation to digital. CX is a part of that. Right. Commerce, CX, digital marketing, all of that. So I see us playing a bigger part in bigger technologies, more enterprise technologies and tools, or have more better purpose-built technologies and tools. Because still, we're after the Holy Grail. And the Holy Grail is really easy. And we talk about it all the time. The Holy Grail for us as marketers is to understand the customer's intent.
Yes.
Right. With this new digital age, technology age, and evolution of technology right now, relationship is still going to be key.
Of course.
And the data, you put a great article out about the secondary data market. The data is our indicators currently, and we don't do a good job. You know why we don't do a job? Because we don't ask good questions.
We don't.
Hey, what do you need? That's a question. And that elicit a direct answer. And with that direct answer, we can service the customer specifically based on what they are asking from us for the value that they're looking for. Yeah. So I think it's better foundational marketing, purpose-built tools, and more intimate ways of providing value and getting data for the value we provide. The secondary data, that piece on the secondary data market talked really well about it's table stakes for customers to give you their information around free offerings, as long as it seems like it's worth it, right? I'll sign up for an account. Right. I gave you some foundational information about me, but that's a level of intimacy. But now for any more information, you got to still give me more value, right? For the
Right.
information. And
Right.
customers are becoming much more aware of the value of their
Yes.
data. Right?
Absolutely.
So we need to go back to the foundation of marketing, go back to that we understand their needs, cares, wants, and desires. We can communicate our value proposition to their needs, wants, cares, and desires. Here is what we need in exchange for the different values across those needs, wants, and desires. A lot of it is going to be foundational of getting information and data to intimately understand its customers so we can programmatically add value to them. That is what the data in the next generation is going to allow us to do at scale.
I'm not mad at it. I agree for a little, I agree, but I feel it's a piece missing. Because that
Add it, refine it.
Because back to is MOPS dependent on technology? Yes, obviously, for sure. I think my position is it's overly dependent to its detriment, right? Like I feel like there's a balance, that there's a happy medium, and we're like this, right? With it. We haven't come to balance. We've overly relied on the technology to the detriment of understanding marketing. What I mean by that is we want the Scott Brinker MarTech landscape has, I don't even know how many tools on it. And I feel like it has a bajillion tools on it because we want to slap a Band-Aid on anything that is marketing instead of just learning marketing. Right? That's where we messed up somewhere. Like it's really MOP's fault that technology landscape has got a gajillion tools on it. Like it should be a fraction of that size, but that's our fault going like, oh, this doesn't work, so I need a tool for that. Oh, Marketo doesn't do this, so now I need a tool for that. Oh, you know what? I'd like to see this, that, the other thing. I need a tool for that, instead of just being like, how do we learn the customer better? We should just go talk to them. We should go ask them questions. No, I need a freaking CDP and attribution tool that does all this crap. It's like, just go ask someone some questions, you know?
But I agree. And I don't disagree with you. And I totally agree with you. But I think that will organically happen. I don't think a lot of these tools that you've seen on any of those things are going to last for the next 20 years.
No.
Right? Because again, they're not purpose built, not scalable, right? Because all of these business, you're going to see a consolidation of a lot of businesses. And we have seen, even in this space, a consolidation of a lot of businesses and tools. So that's going to continue to happen because, again, we need a better purpose-built tool set for this next age of marketing, digital marketing, and marketing technology. And as a MOPS professional, I think we're going to start seeing that tools are, the AI stuff kept people in business a little longer, but a lot of businesses and consumers are seeing that that's fluff. Like it's promising a lot of stuff and it doesn't get us the results still. Right. And the work, it's not scalable. If things are not going to be scalable, I'm telling you, it's not going to last. If I can't easily implement it, integrate it, and get value from it, I'm in the middle of right now doing enterprise MarTech assessment right now, right? So that's me going across multiple digital organizations internally, e-commerce and marketing technology and IT, and seeing our tool set and our tech stack and seeing for the next 5 and 10 years of our evolution and transformation, is this going to help us get our business objectives and goals? And I'm looking like I'm looking past, oh, that's a nice feature, but is there upside to this feature? How are you going to continue to build? How are you going to do that foundational marketing better? How are you going to let me communicate to my customer better? How are you going to let me integrate this data across all of my sources easier?
Right.
That these are real things, real use cases that I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, I think that's going to continue to happen. This is also why I go back to the technologist, I feel like is in trouble. I feel like there is going to be a reduction of tools in the stack out of necessity because the budget just isn't there, out of necessity because these companies have lost their mind and what they're charging for is astronomical for what you're getting. right? And I feel like the resources aren't going to be there to support it. So these technologies are coming up, whether we like it or not, these no code, low code, kind of click function tools are going to be more predominant just because we won't have the resources to support the behemoth ones. This is even happening from a Salesforce. I don't even tell you how many companies I've heard being like, do we need this? Is this too much? We can't support it. It doesn't even work. There's, a bunch of junk and it's all misconfigured and too much going on. Like they can't handle it anymore. And if people will understand or come through the understanding of if there's a way to scale that down and still get the output, these tools are SOL. They're screwed. Okay.
You know what? Let's talk about this in this frame. Let's talk about the maturation of these MOPS roles. I think that will help me, like, because I don't want the marketing technologists out there thinking like there's no place for them.
Okay, fair.
I think there's a place for them. They just need to evolve and upskill themselves, right?
That's everybody. That's the whole point of this conversation.
The whole across the board.
Yeah.
Because there is the question was, is there a direct line from marketing ops professional to digital marketing, director of marketing, or CMO? And there is. There explicitly is. And when I was coming up, there was not at all. But now there is. But to get there, you got to understand, even from a CMO perspective, of some of the things that they're looking at, what they're being sensitive to right now. For instance, some of the same things that I said, that CMOs are not banking on metrics like MQL anymore, right? They're looking at metrics around pipeline revenue for a reason, right? And we also see that organizations are they're consolidating marketing ops functions to the CEO and CFO as well, right? Marketing technology, because the marketing technology is a recurring cost to the business every year.
For sure.
So somebody's going to have to carry that on their books.
Right.
And so that's why these specific organizations are taking control of it. And so as a marketing technologist, like, where do you go? What should I be doing?
Yeah. So like you said in the beginning, right, there is some historical and internal knowledge that they have about how these things should work that other people don't have. And I feel like that's where they pivot. It's these behemoth tools, I think, are going to be downgraded. They're not going to disappear or go away, but there is absolutely stagnation happening where those markets aren't growing anymore. Right. But you're still going to have something, right? And those something still rely on process, right? And that's where they live, right? It's like, that's where the business professional doesn't understand. They're going to go get these tools and think like everybody else thinks, that like, well, now I get leads and now I just have reports and now I just do this. And they're going to have no idea how to work these, how to configure these, how to support these, right? 100%. That's where I feel like the technologist plays at a leaner scale, right? We don't need 20 APIs and this back-end configuration, maybe, but it's going to be some version of how do you align these together to make them the most effective. And I feel like that's the conversation that I think it's going. And I feel like that's a needed one. We don't need 10,000 tools in the landscape. That's utterly ridiculous. It shouldn't be, right? But there is you never have a technology problem. You always mostly have a process problem, right? Like, you don't really have a technology problem. So that's where I kind of see that role pivoting to is not strategist versus technologist. It's all strategists. It's really strategist versus generalist.
Yes. You know what? I buy into that. I definitely buy into that. And I can see that. And I would even say specialists too. There's a place for a specialist, but the marketing technologist strategy is so important. And I think, I don't know if marketing ops professionals, I never really struggled with understanding how to have an imprint on strategy, right? Because I understand marketing and digital marketing. I understand technology. I understand e-commerce. I understand sales. I understand these core business functions to understand like how my role integrates and may coincide with their role. And understanding that helps me create strategy. Like we said, campaign execution. Well, how do you create strategy across execution? You can inform campaign strategy, even that. Like, oh, well, you're trying to do this campaign. This campaign is top of the funnel campaign. So you're trying to create awareness. Okay. What channels, right? And platforms will be best to get the reach for an awareness play. Where can we orchestrate at and automate and create continuity within our tech stack that you can inform that?
For sure.
Like but I need to know enough.
Well, you're bringing up another point, which is to the conversation that was a couple of months ago, is MOPs marketing. I feel like if we're going down the road that you're talking about, MOPs is not marketing in the sense that it is bigger than that. It's a cross-functional role where it is IT and it is sales and it is operations and it is all of these other plays that really try to get you a 360 view of the customer, because the customer doesn't live just in freaking marketing.
That's what MOPS is. It should be bridging the gaps for marketers and trying to drive a specific experience, because that experience that a marketer is trying to put out to market, that is going to have impact down the line from the customer's life cycle. And they're going to have additional experiences with this brand. And does your initial experience with driving and creating that demand create continuity across the inevitable other touch points across the customer's life cycle to getting value for the business or continued value with the business? Like that's what MOPS professional can inform.
I think that's the one version of MOPS, either the two. So the one version of MOPS is the technologist that turns into the strategist. That's more cross-functional, not just marketing. And then there's the MOPS that is the marketing, but then has to understand marketing, right? Like that version of MOPS really needs to put themselves into how to establish a brand. How does the campaign really structure? What is creative? What are the kind of elements of marketing, right? The 4 Ps, the product, the price, the placement, the promotion. Like you got to get deep into that part and really inform the marketing that is executed out of these tools, right? Because that's also where the other side of where MOPS falls down. We just become executioners and then we get held responsible for the performance of which is terrible. And then then there's no say. So if the other side is doing the actual marketing piece.
Yes. And to be clear, there are a lot of MOPS professionals right now that's pigeonholed into that position, right?
Very much so.
And usually it's not at the strategic level that you're talking about. It's at the order taker level.
That's right.
Campaign production level, right? And so for those marketing professionals out there that find themselves in this space of being an order taker to deploy campaigns to market at scale, and you're just doing that and you're configuring within inside the tools to syndicate campaigns to channels. The next level is starting to inform, like you said, like understanding your marketing. And when you are able to deploy that to market, you come and say, here's the metrics, because the tool is going to give you the metrics, right? Get out of just knowing how to be an administrator of the tool and user of the tool. A lot of people could do that. Exactly. And these tools are becoming much more easier to do. You don't have to have no technical acumen or logic acumen to do some of these things. But now being able to look at the analytics and say like, oh, it looks like our deliverability is 70%, that 30%, like what can we be doing? Why? Is this hurting our reputation? This is what we want to do. That tells me even this list that you were given or this audience, this is not the most optimized audience.
Right.
Like, what can we do better? How can we get to the people that really want to hear about us or are most relevant to us at this time? And so there's so much you can do, and starting to have strategic conversations with other peers that is helping craft go-to-market strategy.
Right. So it's the see something, say something. So the question is, how can you improve marketing from a MOPS position. Like you
Yeah,
said, there's a lot to be done, but I feel like
yeah,
from the marketing side, when we see bad marketing, we have to say something.
yeah,
Okay, we can't sit
yeah,
on the sidelines anymore. Okay,
yeah.
we see bad messaging, we see bad creative all of the time. And I feel like we just can't say it's bad. We have to come to the table with conversation. It's not even having the answer. It's more of like a second pair of eyes is, I think this may be too long copy. How can we shorten it? Or is it okay to shorten this? Or, people who I know or I have data to back this up, that copy that's this long tends not to get read, right? It's got to be this word count or this short or more. This kind of creative, people don't really respond to this kind of creative. They respond to this kind of creative, or here's what's new and hot in the market. Like coming to the table, not only with the problem, but with discussions of the solution is going to be helpful, in my opinion.
Yes. And I want to add to this because this is really good. And I think that to me goes into like the two major areas where I feel like my professional help marketing. And when we think about marketing and this MOPS period, MOPS has two bigger stakeholders inside of a brand. That is marketing, and that's the rest of the business.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So from a marketing standpoint, you're giving some good examples of how you can start to show that you're a strategic consultant.
Yes.
From a campaign execution as with marketing as your stakeholder. Mm-hmm. And that's a real big piece. But the other big piece to marketing operations, and one of the biggest challenges is our education of marketing operations across the business and its impact. That's why we have these conversations around getting a seat at the table, overinflating our value. All of these things happen because the authentic who we are and what value we really provide to this business overall. Marketing, that's already a challenge to even educate marketing what we do.
Right.
But when we think about the bigger business, what we can do to help marketing is help marketing tell a more relevant, impactful story about marketing impact.
Absolutely.
That is one of the biggest elements of where we can really help position marketing.
Right.
The second area I think is, again, to my take, I feel like, again, the digital functions of a business, the areas of the business where digital strategy is being crafted, you can help start orienting your marketing department to be more inclusive of those particular operations. Mm-hmm. It's very important that you do, because that's why your strategy isn't, truly omni-channel and truly seamless across channels, because you're not even working with the rest of the digital organization internally. Mm-hmm. And I think marketing MOPS should be an advocate of marketing, and it should be an educator of what marketing can do. And digital marketing and the channels that you hold, like it should be informing the business of what can happen from a digital medium. And I think that's another place that MOPS could really position marketing. It's because, like you said, the challenge with current MOPS professionals, they don't know marketing. So we got to rely on other marketers inside of our business who know marketing but don't know digital marketing and technology. So we got to bridge the gap,
right,
and get them to start working with other digital teams, like your digital e-commerce. Let me tell you why that's so important, because back to that P&L, I say that, and I say that with like understanding, like I am a true marketer, customer-centric marketer, but I do see, hey, customers will come on our e-commerce site, come into our store and buy our equipment. That's why we're in business.
Right.
We can communicate that value and create that demand. We can do that. And what digital will allow us to do that analog part of your business can't do, we could do it faster and scalable. It is true, because this is the thing. Yes, let's say marketing isn't a seller, fine. I consent to that. However, marketing can create the demand. They can develop a relationship. And from that relationship, we can ask explicit questions. Like I said, explicitly saying, are you ready to talk to somebody in sales right now? Mm-hmm. Yes. And guess what? Are you ready to look at a product right now and browse our offerings? Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Here's our e-commerce site. Mm-hmm. Go explore. If you have any questions, here's our chatbot at the bottom right of your screen. Mm-hmm. Let them make their own decision after that.
Yeah.
But you led them to where they wanted to go. You gave them the value and you created this on-ramp into their ability to convert to a customer much faster and much more scalable. And we didn't have to go through actual physical people if they did not want to. Right. Because we're now having emerging generations of consumers who prefer to do it that way. That's why we're not going to get past the technology. No. And being reliant on the technology, but that's how we can then better show, hey, all the funny business to try to map it back to the physical salesperson who sold it and all of that. I know they went directly to the product page, put it in an online cart and checked out. Guess what? I know I influenced that business.
Right.
Full story.
I think, okay. When businesses are hitting their number and crushing it, they don't give a damn with marketing, how much marketing source business they have. Only businesses that are struggling care about marketing source revenue.
Let me tell you something. And businesses that was hitting all their numbers and not hitting their business no more. I could tell you that too.
True.
But that's they gonna see.
Right, but I'm not saying that to devalue marketing. I'm saying that to say that marketing's true value is always missed, and if you're going to tie it to revenue, it will be missed. What marketing does well is, like you said, it does create brand, it creates affinity, it creates preference, and those things are missed when we only look at the bottom line. Right. So
no. Let me.
What skill wise, what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I totally agree with that, but this is the thing. So let's talk about it in totality. The true value of a customer to a business is like, and the business to a customer is this: like, you help me understand that your service can meet my need or your product can meet my need, right? You communicate, you show me that this is a potential solution for me. You give me enough information to educate myself, to feel empowered, to even find a professional who can answer some questions. And then when I do get to that part of my process and answer the questions, and then figure out, like, I want to sign up for the product or service because I feel like this can meet my needs. Then there's another portion of the business that's delivery. Now delivery has to deliver the service, and the service has to be provided in a way that meets my expectation, right? And then there's a customer service aspect to this, right? And then there's hey, I want to do more with your business aspect to this, and I want to create, like, we're on the hook to create loyalty. Well, what does that really mean to a business? And what does that mean to the customer? And like, for the business, it means everything, because you want loyalty because we think we can forecast on that business. But for the customer, what does loyalty mean to me? It should mean that, hey, I have your best interest and to give you the best value for your needs.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, because that's where I was going. You said the start of the explanation was meeting their needs. What is their need? What is the value that you're offering? There's layers to it, right?
Right.
And from a especially you see this in SaaS, it's the tool. When it's like, most of the time it ain't got really nothing to do with that. That's a logical play. But we all know people buy with emotion and then justify it with logic, right? Peloton is not selling you a bike. They're selling you access to a community. They're selling you access to their instructors, right? It's like Apple is not selling you a phone. They're selling you lifestyle. Gucci isn't selling you a shirt. They're selling you a lifestyle. And once we
Yes.
understand the layers of, and that's marketing. That's what I
Of
get
course.
passionate about. That's nobody know. People aren't who's teaching that. Do you think MOPs people know that? No, like half the people in SaaS don't even know it. A VP, there's half the VPs in marketing don't know that right now, right? And that's the part that we've missed with marketing, and that's why I'm so hamper on revenue. It's to me, it's
But there
myopic.
is no revenue without, listen, here, let me break it down like this. So I'm gonna break it down so it can forever and consistently be broke. That's one of my favorite movies says. The initial transaction between a business and a customer is a transactional relationship. There's nothing wrong with a transactional relationship, but it's very volatile still, because once one side feels like they don't get the value for what they provide, then the relationship is at jeopardy. But there's nothing wrong with the transaction. This is why businesses are in business.
I disagree. Go ahead. I disagree. There are levels to relationship. One version is transactional, and if you let the customer lead, it will be. If the business leads, it's a guiding relationship. It's more authoritative. It's more like teacher-student, more like guidance counselors, patient. You know what I'm saying? There can be that too. There can be a co-collaboration relationship between the business and the consumer. Transactional is just one type.
But let's back to I disagree with your disagreement. Listen, because to me it's this. I have a product or service. Every business is going to boil down to either product or service. That product or service has to be of value to someone for them to purchase it.
Absolutely.
And guess what they're going to do? They're going to give value in exchange for value. Right?
That's right.
The value is money and revenue from a business standpoint. For the customer, it's the product or service that business is offering.
Not true.
That is the basis of that relationship. No. It's always and forever going to be that basis of all business relationships. No. But guess what? No real business can rely on that transactional relationship unless they have a superior service or quality. And some who do have superior service or quality, they're still in business. But guess what? There are disruptors to that, because they come into the market and they can't provide either an equivalent service, and if they can, why do I need to go with you? So you add more value somewhere. Maybe it's the customer service within the transaction process, and within that customer service, now I'm getting more value, and we continue to build value across the different areas of which I find value in this business and brand. Maybe, okay, yes, I may just be getting consulting services from you, but then, or no, let's say content services. Content. So you're helping me create some content, great. Paying you, we got a good transaction, but you can show, okay, hey, you have content, but you don't have a strategy. Oh, okay. So here's a proposal. This is what I can give you as a strategy for the content that you're producing, right? And then not only is it strategy, but it's showing you across what channels and go to marketing and what needs to happen, put in place. Okay, then, hey, I could come on board and project manage this to market. Boom. Like now I give additional value. Not only can you create the content, create a strategy for me to actually make it relevant for people, but then you can help me actually execute on it. Additional value. But again, when I think about the other components of the business, service, I get your service and I have a question. Who's going to answer my question? Do you answer my question promptly? Do you have great feedback from me? Or do I always have an issue with your product or service? That may be an issue for me in this relationship that we have. If we're not insisting on getting intimate and intimately finding ways to add value to the customer, you do not build on that transactional relationship, and you cannot count that this is business that you can continue to forecast to come into your business.
I'm going to agree, but I'm going to come at it from a different angle.
Okay.
So I look at value as a pyramid, right? Okay. and at the like Maslow's hierarchy.
Okay.
And
Yep.
at the bottom is functional. So what you said, save time and money, quality, all that stuff is, seats, does
Yep.
taste, feel, all that stuff is
Yep.
at the bottom. That's where I feel like that's that transactional relationship you're talking about. The second layer is emotional. If you make me feel something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like feel calm, feel relaxed, feel happy, feel excited. You know what I mean? That it comes with
Mm-hmm.
the feeling. You now, okay, second level. Next level up is status or lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
my
Mm-hmm.
personal growth, right? My
Perception.
status, my position in society, right? My
Mm-hmm.
family, people, secure those security, the ring light or whatever. Next layer, and then the top layer is social, like the greater society. So if you
Mm-hmm.
impact the community or the environment or social norms or something like that,
Yep.
that's
Yep.
the top, right? And the more you can add layers on top of that, as far as your value goes, the more that you can charge and the more sticky that your product or service will be, the less competition can take you out. So, but let me finish the thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm adding that to say that marketing largely, especially in SaaS technology, where it's a lot about performance marketing and ROI and revenue, misses that completely and
Mm-hmm.
focuses
Mm-hmm.
on the bottom with feature functionalities and thinks that's why people buy. And it ain't. And it never has been. And
Mm-hmm.
it never will be. So when they talk about those things, it doesn't translate. There's no brand affinity attached to this saves me freaking time. There's 20 other tools that do that, right? There's a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of competition that plays at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So marketing has forgot all of this, is not good at this, and then because they're so focused on the bottom, doesn't do this well, of which if they do it well, will then contribute to the bottom line.
Yeah, I think it's a heads up take. I would modify it a little bit
Mm-hmm.
for B2B versus B2C.
Okay.
B2C, that works. That's it's a home run for
Mm-hmm.
B2C, right? Because the individual is on the hook across that whole pyramid and across the buying decision itself, right? And their need. In the B2B world, it's not one person. So it's hard to translate functional for a business is high because, like you said, the business doesn't care about this great technology and this SaaS product. It just wants to know, is this going to benefit the business? And can we operate it? Is it going to cost a lot? Can we get it up and running without downtime? It's going to have no issues, integrate well. It's going to do those things. And it has those layers to it, but it's harder to tie all of the emotional back because you go, okay, let's talk about the actual user of this product. Yes, there's some emotional ties to it because it's going to make your job more, the functional, like, yes, it's going to make your more efficient. The emotional is, yes, it'll give you more time with your family and work-life balance, or however else you want to communicate the value of these functional benefits,
Mm.
right? But then when we get into more of the social and status, those are a little harder because it's like, okay, there was a time, like you said, when the big players, you can say Oracle or Adobe, and it's like, put that in this tech stack
Thank
right
you.
away. But now it's like,
They trash. They lost status. That happens in business.
I'm like, what's the best? Forget Adobe, forget HubSpot, forget Salesforce, forget Oracle, forget whoever. What works, what doesn't, what's emerging, what's not.
I see
And
what you're saying, but I also have to disagree, because you're dealing with people. And to your point, like walking, especially in the day early, like Salesforce days, to be a trailblazer and be in that community was status. Like
it
people
was,
rock them joints. So they were offering a sense of community. They were offering a sense of status. It meant
yeah.
something in those days. To be a Marketo champion meant something in the day. You know what I mean? To be a part of these communities and have a status in these communities meant something. People walked around with a badge of honor. You can't have that, especially, and there are differentiators to the brand.
But that's what, yeah. But you, as you said, that was 15 years ago.
Brands fall off all the time. Like I'm not
Yeah,
saying this forever.
but
I'm just
now,
saying like it's there are
like,
other reasons
yeah,
why people
I'm
buy
a
these products.
trailblazer. I'm a, experienced maker. It doesn't matter any of that now because it's like can you make the experience of me doing my job better? That's what make that experience. Be a
For
trail.
sure, but when at its height, those were differentiators for
It,
those businesses,
you
and
know
they add
why?
that was added value that they
Exactly,
could
but it's
sell.
everything we've been talking about
Hmm.
full stop. And that's at those times it needed those value added services, right? Because it was a technical tool. People are trying to, and again, scaling is
Hmm.
truly purpose built. You have some professionals who are very involved in this technology. They understand how to use it, apply it, implement it, and people needed to learn.
Hmm.
What Salesforce did was genius.
Hmm.
It's smart. It's smart. And this is what we're talking about. Like
Hmm.
full circle to our conversation, we're talking about this new model of how is marketing going to provide value across all of the business and not just rely on this transactional relationship.
Right.
You know, those value added services like Trailblazer, what that did, it was an on ramp to say, if you're new to this tool, I'm going to make you loyal because I'm going to give you a community. I'm going to
Hmm.
give you enablement. I'm going to give
Hmm.
you everything you need to have success. That's
Hmm.
why. That's now let's go back into mine. Go back a little bit.
Hmm.
Digital e-commerce, digital marketing. I said CX, but always a part of CX to me is customer success. It's always
Hmm.
part of CX, right?
Yeah.
So that's a customer success play. Wow. Let me make sure. Not only did I sell you Salesforce, but I'm gonna say, hey, we got you this many seats to Trailblazers. Go in the community, ask your questions, do this, do this, do this, right?
Hmm.
Because the more that you're onboarded, and we're talking about the SaaS model, you're onboarded, you're getting your value. When I come back up for this renewal, I don't want to say you haven't implemented and you don't know what you're doing,
Exactly.
right? I want you to say, I met my goal. I got it
Right.
connected. We got data flowing. We can see how many campaigns, what sales campaigns are doing, how many leads we're converting. We get to see like it work,
Right.
right? So in your SaaS model, I believe in that hierarchy.
Hmm.
I can see that. I can see that. I was that social. Yes, community is there. The status for me, I never cared about status, and maybe I got a jaded view because it was more of I want to know how to use it
Hmm.
versus what's the best. Because you know, I was grinding. I was just trying to get a job,
Right.
and then when I got a job, I was like, oh, I'm learning this technology, and I want to know how it works, and I want
Right.
to know how to actually impact customers. I want to actually put forth the best
Right.
product in front of a customer. And when I say product, I mean as a campaign to communicate our value
Hmm.
to our customers in a
Hmm.
way that they feel like my solution is the solution for them,
Right.
right? That was my job as a digital marketer.
Right.
And so I think when we look at that, I agree with you 100%. I think you have something there. And I think that's the next level because these new generations, while they are increasingly digital focused,
Hmm.
online focused, they have a better sense of community than previous generations.
For sure. And that's it's we're communal human beings, right? Like
Yes,
we want to
exactly.
be part of community, right? So
Exactly.
it's just like all I'm saying is like, sometimes I feel like I get a dig because like people think I'm like anti-tech and anti-digital. I'm not. I just the gap that I see is the core fundamentals to complement the technology to make it work in its optimal manner.
Let's talk about that. I don't
Okay.
think we spent a good enough time on that. So let me query you for a second.
Yeah.
So, given some of the, let's recap so far.
Okay.
Let's give a recap, and then let's hone it in on how the fundamentals of marketing could really help with this future of MOPs.
Okay.
Because so around the future of MOPs, we did define that, number one, technology, we're still going to be relying on technology
Hmm.
because, we're technology is evolving at scale. We
Absolutely.
have generation of consumers who are going to harden and come to expect technology
That's right.
as probably the primary channel for them to interact with a brand.
Absolutely.
But with that said, there is no compromise to making sure that you're fulfilling the customer's total needs and adding value beyond just your product or service. You have to make sure that you continually show that that it's functionally meeting the customer's needs. It's giving them a sense of connection and community, and especially of understanding how this tool and service or product will benefit them.
Yes.
Answer any of the questions, any of the anxiety they may have with the brand or going after a solution for their particular needs.
Yes.
In a variety of things. We do feel like that the marketing operations function will evolve. I do believe, I do agree that, the technologist will become a strategist. I think that the next iteration of a MOPS professional will have in-depth digital marketing. They will have business operations. They will have campaign operations, and then they will have a strategic mind. I don't think MOPS professionals going forward can get out of that. Leaders, let me say that.
Yeah.
MOPS leaders.
Yeah.
I think there's still room for generalists and specialists in MOPS, as we're going to have MOPS teams. Hopefully we can continue to have MOPS teams. I do see where MOPS is evolving to integrate sales ops, business ops, IT together, and forming rev ops and those types of organizations. I see digital, and again, with all of those things, including e-commerce, CX, and customer success, all becoming a part of the digital offering of a business, especially with these new generations expecting their offerings to be digital focused anyway. I want to be able to self-serve through my support. I want to be able, get it and ask a quick question and get a response through chat.
Agreed.
Whatever. And that's contact center. That's not even marketing anymore. But it's expected as a part of the digital offerings of business. And traditionally, marketing owned the digital channels. Not anymore.
Right.
What else do we need to recap? I think that
was it, and the role that MOPS is going to play in the greater marketing team, right?
Yeah.
Like improving marketing.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to play a key role in helping to socialize and educate the business around marketing's impact, right? But I think this is a good segue into how marketing makes a good impact. And I think that is the foundational marketing. Without foundational marketing, with everything said, I've told you my intimate take on marketing is that what I'm banking on, what I am a advocate for the customer and the brand, is the intimacy between the customer and brand.
Okay.
And that's getting to know your customer so much better. And I think there's so much more room to nurture that intimacy with the customer, to get to know them, to get to know that pyramid, to start building out the profile against that pyramid and getting to know your customer. And what we're going to receive is going to receive information and data that we can then use to better provide better marketing and marketing experience and a business experience to the customer. So I really believe that foundational marketing is going to be the key to that intimacy, because that is what marketing's job is.
That's what I'm saying.
The customer, yes, sales owns a part of customer relationship management, but marketing owns a big part of customer relationship.
Absolutely.
We go source that customer. We onboard that customer and say, hey, by the way, I see that you have that and that need, we have a solution here. Let me tell you, let me give you some more information about this. Let me let you self-serve or self-educate. Let me give you more anecdotal ways that you can go about solving your problem. Let me show you that I understand your pain, right? I can empathize with you, and that the values that you share for a vendor that you want to spend your money and your value with is, we are a vendor that you can do that with. Like, you're still on the hook for that. Like, we are on the hook for that.
Absolutely.
What the business does not understand in today's ready-made market is that we have not communicated the power of marketing, the power of knowing that and communicating that and understanding and empathizing with the customer
Yeah.
and why that's important. The business doesn't understand that or value that highly anymore. But I think marketing ops are in a great position to show that. And I even think that's where AI can show us because we do it. Wait, how many companies have surveys? You survey, but what do you do with that information? Yeah, you do a little bit of here and there. Go get qualitative information.
Yeah.
Go get that information from your business and find a way to put that information into use.
Yeah.
Find a way to add more feedback loops across the whole customer lifecycle and total experience for your brand, so customers can give you more information and tell you intimately what their experience was like with you.
Right.
I'll
I
stop.
I agree. I think well said, well summarized. For me, the future of MOPs is two track. I think, like I said, I think like you stated, the technologist will turn into a strategist. That strategist will be bigger than a cross-functional role that is bigger
Yeah.
than marketing. The specialist will turn into the generalist. That generalist will then be more marketing focused. And that digital kind of role that you talked about continuing to be expansive. So it's already web and SEO and content that will continue with the idea and notion that they are more skilled in foundational marketing skills. So in order to be successful in that digital kind of role, they have to understand brand, and it can't just be performance only. And this is a landscape issue, period. There is a battle of it's either performance or it's brand, and that has to come together. I know there's been talk about that. Brand is being talked about more, but you do have people entrenched and staunched in performance marketing, and they don't really believe in brand. And we have to bring those two things together in order for marketing in general to be successful in the future. We're going to have to reclaim what marketing is and back a little bit away from closed revenue. Whatever that hybrid is, y'all can work it out. But there does have to be a sense of, look, man, 4Ps is marketing. And right now, from a SaaS perspective, we own one. It's promotion. Marketing does not define the price of a business. Marketing does not set the promotional elements of a business. They don't talk about the placement of the product. They barely are in charge of messaging. All that has got to change, right? We have to reclaim back what marketing is in order for marketing to be successful.
Yes, and that's why even what you said about like the merchandising and placement and promotion, like in store, if that's something in your business model, you definitely don't have it.
No.
With the emergence of digital and marketing, and digital is commerce, digital commerce, and SEO and all of that, they should.
Yeah.
And that's where, again, marketing strategy comes into place. I have a question for you because I don't think we talked about this. I do think we largely do agree that I like your two tracks. I do see where the technologists will become a part of the skill set of the technologists if they are the strategists, if they are not already have that skill set as a strategist. And the specialists will become more generous across all digital marketing functions. But the role and the responsibilities of a technologist, where does that go? Does that go to IT? Like, what's going to happen? Because I think that will also impact the way that we dictate our journey.
I see it. I see the technology, the role of the technology being shared across many in the market. You kind of already see it play out, right? Like it's kind of already because you don't need as much technical acumen to run these tools. I feel like go to any company where like HubSpot is really prominent. There's a lot of hands because it's easy to freaking do and figure out. You don't need 1, 2 people. Anybody can get in there and do their little part. right? And I think
Yeah, yeah.
that I'm not as scared about it as long as there's kind of good documentation and good processes, because that's what makes the tool run anyway. I'm not scared about it because that allows the technologists to go be the strategists they really want to be, and that's where they really needed.
Okay, I I do agree with that. But you know what? It also comes to mind. There's a gap, and the gap will be for more mature and larger scale businesses that
Mm-hmm.
will require more complex tooling.
Mm-hmm.
And that they're there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you're gonna have to stand up something, and that's where we were talking about like more purpose built and more
Mm-hmm.
tools that will do that at scale. And
Yeah.
I think those tools are not gonna go anywhere. I do think there are going to be technologists who, again, won't be just marketing, but more digital focus
Mm-hmm.
around the digital tech stack and
Mm-hmm.
across tools that like a CDP or DXP
Mm-hmm.
that goes across many of the digital organizations of a
Mm-hmm.
business, and gonna understand like with a CDP, what's the go to record, and understand what a go to record is, and
Right.
understand how to um, thread different profiles across different sources. Like these are going to be like technical know-how and things you
Is
have to
it?
do.
I'm putting that in the strategist realm because the technical setup of a CDP is very simple, not hard.
Not the, but the operations of it, it's not. And
That's
that's the
process.
administrations and like in the focus of what to do next, what source to go after next,
Right.
what new data point to integrate that's going to be syndicated across all of these different sources that will get us what we
Right.
need to see the full 360, and then the tracking and the analytics and everything else around it. Like
I'm putting that in the strategist category because it's process, right? That's not, I need to know how the tool specifically functions, right? That's more of a process operations. I'm putting that in the strategist category. It's not the tool, the technology no longer will lead the operations. It'll be vice versa, right? The
I,
tool will just be the tool. It's that what you just said is where the knowledge base comes from. That's where they go. That's where the gap is. And that's where those people who are really good in the technology will move over to, because you won't need them to do a bunch of configuration in the tooling. That's it's not going to be that part. That part's going to be very simple and straightforward. Now, where you put the inputs and
I
how you
think
structure
that's
the inputs and how the process is set up, that's where they're going to be needed.
here's the is that wishful thinking, or like, because we already know and we've agreed that just even at the scale of evolution of businesses, like, do we really expect, because that's how we got in this position,
Right.
that the tool is going to be that easy that we ain't going to have to do nothing else, and we could just, yeah, like, I get what you're saying about the strategists, because as you said, they have absorbed the skill set of the technologists.
Mm-hmm.
So the strategists should be able to do that in this
Mm-hmm.
thing, but still they're technologists. Like, you cannot divide that, because the tool is not going in and of itself be the solution. It's going to be how you implement that. The strategy, yes, there is definitely a strategy about implementing like a CDP or CXP, DXP across the enterprise. Like, there's going to have to be some thoughtfulness to it, a lot of thoughtfulness to it. But the
Yeah.
technologist skill set will not die. I think
No.
it's still going to be, like, it's you're either going to be hardcore focused on creating the architecture of the tomorrow marketer, or you're going to be in the strategy around that, the
Right.
corporate strategy around creating that, those capabilities around the tech stack, or you're going to be around the marketer who is enabling better capabilities to add better experience and value to a customer.
Mm.
Like, I think it's either you're gonna bolster
Mm-hmm.
internally what operations can do through the tools,
Mm-hmm.
or externally of how you deploy, your finished product as a campaign and communication to and touch points to as experience to customers. I
Yeah.
think that's where technologies, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
they're going to have their hands in.
Yeah. I feel like so like from a campaign, like in any kind of the big three map platforms, there are many ways to skin a cat, right? There's
Yes.
many ways to build work. The technologist I see is dictating the best way to skin that cat. It'll be
Yes.
way easier in the new generation of tools to build it out, right? But
Yeah.
the technologist
Yeah.
will know this is the best way to
Yeah.
build this out to get the output that you want.
Totally agree.
Somebody who don't know nothing won't know that, right? They just
Yeah.
gonna be clicking around. But to make the click happen, all that's it's not gonna be as complicated as it was in the past. These
Yeah.
new generation tools are gonna make
100%.
that super
Because
simple.
Eloquent was a
Right.
beast in the beginning. Like,
Yeah,
what the? Yeah,
exactly.
I definitely get it.
Yeah.
So this is good. This is a great conversation. What more do you want to
So I think we hit
discuss?
on all the main points. I think
Let me see.
for let's give our predictions for like at least the next 5 years. So from 25 to 2030, well,
Ah,
how
that's
do you see by the end of 2030 what's MOPS gonna look like? So I'll start to give you a second to
yeah,
think
yeah.
about it. I think in the next 5 years or so, there's going to be a shift around technology and
Mm-hmm.
around the go to market of demand gen that will drastically shift the way that MOPS is going to function in the future post 2030.
Mm-hmm.
So what I mean by that is kind of like I said, there's going to be consolidation of tools. We won't be so technology driven just because people won't have the money to do that. They won't have
Mm-hmm.
the resources. It's not the tech free for all. It has been the last 20 years, right?
Yep.
We see that. I think on the demand gen side, there are holes being poked in that philosophy
Mm-hmm.
that will make uh, something new more prominent. What that something new is, I don't know. Whether that's ABM or some version of brand or some combination of whatever. I just don't. We may even call it something different. But the process of creating content to generate leads, to turn them into MQLs, to then turn them over to sales, that ideology is going to go through some metamorphosis and it won't be what it'll be.
Mm-hmm.
That will change the way that we do processing and scoring and all the mechanisms that fuel a MOPS professional right now. What I think will then happen when those things change is that MOPS will have to adapt to the
Mm-hmm.
new version of what marketing is. There will
Mm-hmm.
be a place, like you said, technology is not going anywhere. I think there's a version of performance that's not going anywhere. I just
Mm-hmm.
don't know what it looks like. But I
Yep.
feel like there's going to be a drastic shift in MOPS and the way MOPS is done. That's not necessarily going to be around tracking leads in the way that we've done it for the past 20 years.
No. Yeah, I like that. I think that's a great take. And I think my feedback builds on that. So my prediction over the next 5 years, I'll take some cues of what I see, right?
Hmm.
And I think some of the things that I've seen that kind of informs me of what it looks like is like number one, we still need to make good on the CX revolution,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we got to make good on that
Yeah.
because we did a lot of investment, and
Yes.
then now we're being thrusted into the age of AI.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we're being asked to do more with less because we did all of this digital transformation, right? So
Right.
this we did CX digital transformation, and now we're in the age of AI, and we haven't seen anything of CX and anything from digital transformation yet,
No.
right?
No.
So what I expect in the next 5 years
Mm-hmm.
is to see that return because I don't think I fully support the orientation to CX
Mm-hmm.
because we should be customer focused. This is where your foundational marketing comes back into play. This is where we get connected, and this is where we get the intimacy back to understanding the customer's needs, wants, and desires,
Yep.
and fulfilling those as a brand. Like
Yep.
that has to happen. So we have to make good on CX, and I think MOPS is going to find a way to do that. And so through that, I think MOPS are really going to be focused on experience. So where you were talking about in that model, where
Mm-hmm.
it's leads and all of our
Mm-hmm.
different metrics, like
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to start looking at MOPS and our go to market in experience.
Mm.
right? And I think
Mhm.
we're going to start to look at it a little bit more through that vantage point of experience. And I think that's going to be a good shift. And I think that's going to be one of those shifts. So digital transformation of it's just going to expedite and enable that CX
Mhm.
shift
I
much
like
more.
that.
So I think I see it coming together.
Mhm.
That's why I see the digital
Yeah,
coming together, because that's the only thing that can make in this digital world that ability to add value to the experience
I like that. That makes a
and
lot of sense.
make all of the effort into all of that investment and all of that focus. The second thing with the argument of digital, I think what we're going to see is we're going to see definitely shift in what brands are like. Someone is going. I think you were right. Someone's going to figure something out to disrupt this market,
Mm-hmm.
and it's probably going to be a major player, and they're going to do what they already do, and it's understand the customer and the person, the human being better. And we're going to see someone understand how to like look at AI. People look at AI as this tool. Let's say
Yeah,
that
yeah.
the one the people don't really look at AI as an interface, and that could be an interface
Mm,
between brand and
mm,
customer.
mm-hmm.
And when we think about getting the holy grail and intentionality and need from a customer, well, if they're interfacing with AI like we interface with AI, and this is going to be the interface between brand, they're going to start getting what they need at a pace and a scale. And that may be a 10, 15-year prediction, but at a pace and a scale that like will demand more from MOPs.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's going to require MOPs to get some shit right, connect
Right,
some things
right,
so that customers can get value at the speed in which they want to interface in
right,
this new way of interfacing.
right,
Because it's not just a co-pilot and it's not just a assistant, it's an interface. And
right.
we need to start to figure out, and we haven't yet, but
No,
the brands who deploy behind their firewall, they're
yeah.
going to connect it to their knowledge base, connect it to all of their stuff, and allow their, like, we know the AI chatbots are supposedly supposed to do that, but someone's going to do it right.
Mm-hmm.
And someone's going to start asking customers really good questions, giving
Mm-hmm.
really good feedback, and providing really good service.
Mm.
I do see that happening, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for that. That's
Yeah,
like something I'm excited to, because I want to be a pioneer in that. I want to
yeah,
find a better way to talk to my end users.
yeah.
Um, I think the last prediction for me is this. I think there is a way to the CMO. I just think we got to get better. We need to understand marketing better and
Yeah,
business better.
yeah.
If we are able to do that as mock professionals, we will be around for a long time, because the maturation of what we're doing. I know the CMO's position is kind of going through some things right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's going through some things, and
Mm-hmm.
that's fine. But the value of like, and yes, the MOPS is undervalued right now, and we've overvalued ourselves on top of it. But with this grassroots push
Mm.
of getting more in tune to the customers, I don't think there is no better function in the business to enable that than MOPS.
Okay, I can see that. Well said, sir. Thank you for
Yeah,
your time. This was an amazing discussion,
this was
always with
great.
you.
Listen,
You're the yang to my yang, you know
this
that.
is. I had to make it
Yeah,
that tension. Man.
yeah. It's
But
awesome.
this was great.
This
I
is
think
great.
this was the discussion that I've been wanting to have. Let me see if I have any more notes. I just
We're gonna do this again. I feel like that AI conversation is a good conversation
oh
to have because
man,
you
you
know I
brought
have
out
thoughts.
some heat. You brought out some good heat. Like
Yeah,
this is like the big three are dying.
yeah. It is
CMO,
falling,
like
bro.
it's a lot. And I
It's a
love
new
that
gen.
that secondary data. That
Mhm.
was a really good article.
Yeah. Yo, I got to get you in there. So we got to get you into the MAC. So the MAC is the Marketing Accountability Council.
Mhm.
So it's like a group of us that are trying to like, we see the change that's coming. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we see the wall and we ain't trying to run into the wall, trying to stop as many people from running to the wall as
Yes, yes.
humanly possible. But it's really about kind of more like ethical marketing and, you know, what the future of marketing really is going to be, and
Oh my
like coming
goodness.
back to fundamentals and all the stuff that I talk about all the time. Plus like some,
Please,
yeah,
please. And
definitely
it's
get you
funny
involved.
because I just put together a consent management strategy for
Mhm.
my organization because I don't feel like my organization can give the level of intimacy and value to a customer without properly saying, in this next phase of doing business with Sunbelt Rentals, we want to make sure that we're communicating to you like you want us to communicate to you. So
Mhm.
what is the best channels? What do you
Right.
want to hear? Like the preference management conversation, the
Mhm.
consent management, like, do you want us to send you a text message? Like you're
Right.
gonna tell us the digital channels to enable
Right.
and what you want us to hear from us. And
Right.
guess what? This is where MOPS is going to be. I'm going to be able to programmatically
Yep.
make sure you get what you're the value you're looking for from our
Right.
brand. I
Right.
was just willing to have that conversation up front with you
Right.
to allow you to have a say and not just start
Start to
communicating.
exactly start spamming.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's talk.
Yeah.
Thank you for this. I appreciate you
Appreciate it.
considering me. This was a great conversation.
Awesome. Let me wrap it up. All right. That was our talk. Thank you for joining the Do Good Marketing podcast here with Ron, talking about the future of MOPS. Ron, where can people find you at?
You can find me on my LinkedIn. That's Ronald Gaines. I will put the Moni will have the link for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, reach out. I'm willing to talk shop anytime.
Awesome. Thanks. And you can find me at my name, Moni Oluide, on all socials, or you can follow me at Mo MarTech. Visit momartech.com. Follow our LinkedIn page. Follow me on Instagram, all the socials too as well. You can join the community. If you go to the website and go to the blog, hit join the community. You can get all the information and news and updates in real time. Thank you again for joining us. Thanks again, Ron, for being here. You're going to see Ron again. We'll do this a bunch. Appreciate your time. Thanks everybody for joining. Bye.